So the first thing I'd like to do is confess the fact that lately my experiences have been a bit of a struggle, or I've been struggling a bit with my experiences and having full experiences that I can share here. It's interesting because I just had a really kind of a strange experience that is kind of indescribable and not necessarily in a good way. But I did want to share an experience I had back on May 1st that I did not post on my channel because I really honestly just thought it was way, way, way too short. It's interesting. I think I need to talk to you guys and tell you guys when I do struggle with my experiences so that you know, those of you who also struggle or who are just even struggling to have your first experience, that you know that someone who's been doing this for 40 plus years also struggles at times. Still, I do. And on this channel, I will always be transparent with you about this. If I'm struggling or if things aren't happening, normally you'll be able to see this with the fact that maybe I won't post for a while because really there's not much going on with me. Perhaps I'm caught up with other things and the experiences just aren't coming. And sometimes I won't. But with things like this, when I do have an experience like the one I had on May 1st, that was literally, literally, guys, this was just like a very, very short glimpse. And I'm thinking, are people really going to be interested to hear this very short thing? Because, regardless with me, and this is something I've talked about before, I never embellish or make my experiences more than what they are to make them seem more interesting. I never ever do that. I always just tell you exactly, specifically what I remember. That's it. Nothing else. And that's how I am with this channel. Again, completely transparent in telling you this stuff. So let's get into the experience from May 1st. It was the middle of the night, as it usually is with me in my experiences. And in previous experiences with the Beyond Body, and most Beyond Body experiences, I always talk about the fact that there's movement, direction, up and down, left and right, those kinds of things. But there are also experiences where I will literally just pop into a place. I'll just be there suddenly. It'll just be like, it'll come. And interestingly enough, actually with this experience, it wasn't necessarily like I just suddenly appeared. This was, I could see it forming. I didn't feel any of the movement, but I could see it forming in the darkness. I could see the silhouette of something happening, and I realized that I was going to be someplace. I didn't know where I was going to be because in Beyond Body experiences, I never know where I'm going. This is the very exciting part of doing Beyond Body because you never quite know what you're going to get, or I never quite know what I'm going to get when I arrive. So I could see it forming, and I was, definitely paying attention to what was happening. When I see this and I'm lying down and my eyes are shut, it's definitely got my attention because I don't know what's going to come next. And eventually I could see that I was in a ranch-like setting. That's what it appeared to be at first, upon first glimpse. That's what things look like. I felt like I was sort of in a ranch, sort of an area. There were plains, open plains, and that's what I thought about. In fact, I also remember seeing a blue sky. Now, the first thing I want to tell you is that I struggled to get a foothold into whatever this place was. And what I mean by that, and this is difficult to say, sometimes, especially when I'm not feeling movement and other things, before I arrive in a particular world or reality, sometimes I feel as if I'm not quite there and I need to kind of hold on to being in that place. And until I get settled, the fact is that any moment I could just be yanked back really, really quickly. And that's what I felt like with this. I didn't feel quite as if I had a foothold and that I was stable in this world and that I could get kind of, taken back in an instant, or as soon as I really started to focus on what my surroundings were. Now, eventually, I felt a little more comfortable as the surroundings revealed themselves, as this ranch-like open plain type place revealed itself. As that happened, I felt more and more comfortable, and I felt like I could just kind of take in my surroundings and kind of look around and focus. Now, again, it looked like a ranch at first, but this was completely not a ranch at all. In fact, in the moment that I completely started to look around and was starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with my footing in this world, I saw a young boy. And this young boy had curly hairs, maybe 14 years old. Young boy, curly hair, sort of brownish skin. The first thought that I had in my mind was perhaps he was Puerto Rican. I wasn't sure. But this was the interesting part about this kid. He was wearing a space suit, a real space suit, legit space suit. And for some reason, I could see his face, his hair, and everything. But I also realized that he was wearing a spacesuit. And this spacesuit, it didn't look like the kind of spacesuit that we have in the US and maybe in some other countries that have space travel or that have gone to the moon. This was a different kind of a spacesuit. It seemed not as big and bulky as those kinds of spacesuits that we have in this world. That's the only thing I can really tell you. Plus, again, I could see this person's face. I could see this person's expressions. I could see everything through the glass partition, the part where you can look through and see someone's face. I could see everything. I could see all the details. So that was highly unusual to me. And as I stood with this young boy, or actually we were walking because he began walking, and it looked like he was trying to get the attention of people in the distance. But I was really kind of focused on him, and I could hear, and I believe, when I say hear, I could hear his thoughts, and I believe those were his thoughts because he didn't seem to be speaking directly to me as we walked. And in fact, I remember I was waving my hands. I was trying to kind of get in front of him. In fact, I kept thinking he was going to trip over my foot because when I was walking with him, I was walking so close to him, I thought he would trip over my feet. He did not see me at all. He did not see me waving my hands in front of him. It was as if I wasn't there. He walked around. He was focused on something going on in the distance, and that's where he was heading towards. And okay, I'm like, immediately, very quickly, because I've learned this lesson, by the way, guys. I've learned this lesson not to keep trying to do something because that'll make me go back even faster to the 3D world. So I thought to myself, okay, he can't see me. He can't hear me. Let me see about trying to see something else with this world to see what's going on. But as I was thinking this, I could hear a narrative. I could hear this young boy speaking, even though his mouth wasn't moving and he wasn't focused on me, as if I was reading his thoughts. And he was talking about how or what it was like to live on a base on the moon. So it's so interesting because once he said the moon, I was like thinking to myself, well, this doesn't look like the moon to me. Again, that would have been the furthest thing from my mind there weren't any like, what do they call it? The craters. It didn't look like that. It wasn't like dark. I couldn't look up and see like the stars in the sky. Again, it was a blue sky. It looked like sort of a ranch area. And when I looked off into the distance, I could see that there were people that were working. And I saw a huge bulldozer, right? The bulldozer was picking up dirt, I guess, and doing what bulldozers do. But on the part, and please forgive me, guys, the people who know what this part is on a bulldozer, the part that digs into the earth and picks up the dirt. Forgive me, I don't know what that part is, but whatever that part is, written across the side of that part was what I thought was the brand, and it just simply said base on it. BASE. Base. That's it. Not Caterpillar, which is, I guess, a brand of bulldozers and other vehicles that do that kind of work. Not that. There are other names of vehicles or brands of vehicles like that. But this simply said base on it. So this again made me think, okay, so I'm on a base on the moon. And I didn't know if this was the past. It wouldn't have been the past. It would have been perhaps our future, because I don't think we would have had the technology to be able to do something like this in the past. But I didn't know if this was the far future. I didn't know if this was perhaps a parallel reality, because the bulldozer didn't look like anything advanced. It just looked like a normal bulldozer, but it had that name written on it. And I've never heard of a brand like that before. I'm not sure, but it was in those big letters. BASE, base. That's it. Very, very simple. And so I took that in and I looked off in the distance again. There were other people and they were doing some sort of work. I think they were, I don't know, perhaps they were getting the earth ready for stuff. Maybe they were getting ready to build. I don't know. But within moments of thinking that I was going to go over there to see what was going on, I was back. Just that instant, I lost my foothold on this place, whatever this place was, and I was back. I opened my eyes and I lay there in bed and I thought, well, do I really want to share this? And at the time I thought to myself, no, it's just way too short of an experience. I'm sure you guys will let me know what your thoughts are, if you have any thoughts on this in regards to very, very short experiences and with my beyond body. And so that was the experience. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about really quickly here is that I have also been thinking about something else. And I wanted to experience traveling at the speed of light or traveling beyond the speed of light and actually seeing my surroundings. Now, I know that I travel at unimaginable speeds, but normally I don't look around and see what things actually look like. That's not a normal thing. And I was thinking, how interesting would it be to travel through space? To travel through space and travel beyond the speed of light to see what that would look like. Anyway, that's one of the things that I want to do in the future. And really quickly before I end this, it was interesting because when I was contemplating that at one point, it's almost like I heard this voice say, if you could go that fast, you could occupy every single space in the universe simultaneously. I don't know what that means, but that's what I heard. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on another journey with me. And until next time, take care.